that says who you are. So the second page knows your session based upon your headings. But if they want to keep information about you over the course of the session expiring, then they have to store that in a database. And then they're going to take that cookie information and reload your information back from the database. Anybody have a question on that between cookies and sessions? We're going to play with those a little bit today. Anybody have their project open and loaded? Fantastic. Jim, were you able to hear me when I was talking to the class?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't catch everything. My brother called. I was on the phone with him.
Okay, we were talking about sessions and cookies, and you know, session is temporary. Cookies can be set for multiple days, and that's what we're going to work with today.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to open up the master page, and mine is called Site Master. And I can see down here menu items. So we have menu ID, navigation menu, items. We can see that this was the last one that we added, I believe, favorite sites, with a bunch of menu items, navigation. And this is where I'm going to put my next menu item. And when you start typing, you should get IntelliSense. And I want to call the page ASP101.ASPX.
For those who are curious, ASP actually stands for Active Server Pages.
You set the system up now where you have, when you change their password, or change anything on them and try to save it, you're going to have to make sure that they have a strong, secure password before you're going to be able to save any of the changes.
I'm going to see if it works really quick, and then I'll pop back over. Okay, so it works for this purpose. Go ahead and everybody add the menu item to your master page. Did anybody find and open the master page okay? It added to the menu. The problem is the page doesn't exist. So the page doesn't exist yet. Okay, so the menu item's there, but the page doesn't exist. Does anybody have the menu item? Okay, I'm going to right-click on the Solution Explorer up where it says C:, on the top right-hand side. I'm going to say add. I'm going to click Add New Item. I'm going to select Web Form, and I'm going to call that ASP101. I'm going to place code in a separate file, and I'm also going to I'm going to check Select Master Page. What's that? If it's not the top of the... Yes, it's highlighted. Okay, so I'm going to click Add. I'm going to pick the site.master as my master page. And here's our new page. It's a blank page. It points to the master page as the template. and it has two content areas, content 1, content 2.
You have to have a number. You have to have an uppercase letter. Well, it's either if you forget, see where it says what's the.
And I have a problem on my master page. I actually am missing a slash.
If you hover over
So on the master page, the navigate URL is the tilde, which the little squiggly line is the tilde. What that tilde significance or represents is that the ASP 101 can be found right off the master or at the top of the solution. So if I was to move this page or this master to a folder, it would still be able to find the ASP 101.
Did you name it ASP 101
You're
when you
welcome.
saved it?
Have a good one.
Yes.
Bye.
Did yours get saved as 101?
No, it was default. Whatever.
Default 2? Okay, you can change the... Okay, if you created a page like Mike did, Mike created the page and he called it by default, it said default 2. Now, you can change the page and you can change the code behind page. You have to do both of them. The other thing you have to do is on your front side, your code file points to your back end file. That also has to be changed. We're going to open up the back end code. And another thing that you need to change to match the page name is the class, ASP 101. Has everybody got that except Mike so far?
Actually, I need to see ASP 101 ASPX. Please.
Okay. Did you save as default 2 as well? Now, if you want to start over and simply delete your default 2 ASPX file, if you delete the front side, the back end file or the supporting file is going to be deleted as well automatically, and then we can walk through the same steps to get the ASP 101 page in place.
I've got the page.
You want to help
the links are
help Chuck? Go ahead.
I get the page created here.
Yep.
And then I click on the link is not found. Is that because there's no content, or so at least with the blank page?
Go to the master page. And Dana has a question. Okay, you want a tilde in front of your slash. Okay, you got the ASP page? You got the ASP page loaded? Robert? Okay.
Oh yeah.
Not if you name the page. If you name the page when you first created it, you're not going to have a problem. Because that class takes on the page name. It's only if you are changing the name of the page after the fact that you need to change a couple different
I'll do
things.
that while you do that.
No, your page did not load correctly because you didn't select a master page. So what we'll do in this case, let's go ahead and delete this page altogether.
They're small enough you can walk off with it. Hey, Sam. Yes. Listen.
It's like players or something like that. It's like, are you kidding me?
Item, web forms. Okay.
Okay. Well, he's
Sam,
doing
this
that.
is something. He doesn't have the checkboxes for the master or the backend case.
I think you open your web application and not the website. close your whole solution. Go to File. And just hit Close. Close project, I'm sorry.
Can you show me that in the browser? See if your, I just want to make sure your menu works okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. Okay. There's nothing on it right now.
50.
Mine is called.
Yeah. No class on Halloween. Night.
No, that was.
That's right, you got married.
Oh, what happened that Saturday?
This is what that thing looks like.
That's the one I made. This is the one that had the page you had.
Oh, okay. Well, that's, oh, you mean the, with the dog and all that other stuff?
Yeah, ASP.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Add new item, second from the top. And then name it first before you click add. Click on the site master. Okay. Now you need to open up your site master.
Should already have that one.
Now the site master is on there. Scroll down. We need to add the menu item. So right there is the menu item for the About Us, and you can copy that. Just copy that whole line.
Yeah, it may be 30. I mean, writing it into
You gotta go down there, paste it. So the navigation, change the About to ASP 101. Go ahead and save and see if it works. Okay. Okay. Everybody's good. Okay. So now on the ASP 101 page, inside Content 2, I'm going to create a form. Or is the form automatic? Form's automatic in our Site Master, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't need to create a form. What I'm going to create is an input. Let me see. So it's just less than input ID equals name value equals nothing, run at equals server. Mike, do you want to move up there?
I can see.
Okay.
Unless you want me to do it like that.
That's up to you. Okay, so the run at server is just letting the back-end code know that we're going to evaluate this input on the backside. I'm going to go ahead and save that. View my results in my page. And I just have a box. The reason I have a box is because I did not put any descriptor in front of it. So I'm going to say, please type in your name, colon. Can anybody see the screen okay? If anybody can't, just let me know.
I got what you got, but I didn't get the same results.
Name value run at server equals server. Did you say that?
Yeah.
What's it throwing at you? Server tag is not well formed. Oh, value equals double quote. You're missing an equal sign.
Yeah, you got name and name in quotes, name value.
Okay, looks like everybody has the text box. So in Firefox, I can type something and I can hit enter and nothing's going to happen. Firefox is actually going to keep that name for me, but that's not a good example because our server's not doing it. Firefox is actually doing it. So what I'm going to do is go back to my page. Underneath my input, I'm going to put in a break. I'm going to put in a input type button. Value equals submit. I'm going to reload my page. And what I forgot to do is I forgot to do a run at server. Without the run at server, the page was built expecting me to handle the press of the button in JavaScript. The server was not expecting to have to do anything with that button, so therefore it did not. What I want to do is I want to submit this back to the server so that the server can process this input box. Sam, I'm not sure why I'm not getting this submitted. Is this not going to submit my form, is it?
No, you need to use an ASP button.
What's that?
An ASP button?
ASP button?
Yeah, and get rid of the type and text. The value becomes text.
Okay, everybody go ahead and change their code. My original attempt did not work. I'm going to go and make sure this works before I tell you to change that. Now, what kept my name there, Sam?
Actually, ASP will automatically keep the state of buttons.
We'll keep the state of buttons at a run server. Okay.
If you view source on the page, you can see the block of code that actually has that information for ASP to use.
Okay. Let me know if everybody has this. Please type in your name, the input box, and then the ASP button, text equals submit, run at server. Now, even though this is submitting, it's really not doing anything at this point. So I want to come back down underneath here, put in another break. This time I want to say ASP label, text equals blank, run at server. Now everybody understands that you can end a tag two ways. You can end it with the backslash at the end of the first tab, or some of your Visual Studio is probably going to do something like that. And it's going to end it that way instead. Either way is fine. I like to keep it a little bit clean, so I go ahead and take off the default and do it that way. So I'm submitting my form to I'm submitting the form back to the server, but I'm really not doing anything yet. Everybody up to where I'm at right now? Okay. I'll go ahead and leave that up there we'll just leave that up there until you get done.
We should show them the option that allows it to automatically fill in their quote form.
Okay. It's double label.
Well, click on it. Put your cursor right there.
I'm missing something there.
Right. Hit Control Spacebar.
Well, you don't have the end of your tag.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Mr. Obvious.
Should teach a class on this stuff.
Did you get that, Mark? Is that running?
Yes, I'm product now.
Okay. Now, on my website, I'm going to go back and click on my About page, and then click over to my ASP 101, and the box is blank. And every time I come to this page, the box is going to be blank. The page is not going to remember who I am from, if I go away from the page and then come back, the page does not know who I am. And what we're going to do is we're going to teach it to recognize and know me when I come back to the page using a session. Go to the code on your front side, ASP button text. Now let's go to the back end code. Sam, where are you saying that was? Where you can actually find those button properties?
Right there. No, in that first one.
The page events?
Your button must not be registered yet. ASP button text.
Oh, I didn't give it an ID, did I?
Yeah, you gotta do that.
I did not give my button an ID. So let's go ahead and do that now. ASP:button. Let's give it the name of submit.
Show them the tool using the toolbox to do it too.
What toolbox?
This one. Click on it. And it made me a liar. Yeah, there you go. Standard. And just drag the button over into your code.
Okay. Sam pointed out that if you want to make like a button and a label, you can in your toolbox. Does everybody have the toolbox off to the left-hand side?
I don't. It's in your view menu. And toolbars. Maybe right.
I have it right underneath my view, down towards the bottom.
Yeah. Put it on file.
Wow, it's taking forever to load.
Oh, it might be your view too. Click other windows. Not in view.
It's under view and other windows.
Yeah.
View and other windows. Okay.
Or Control-Alt-X on your keyboard. So if you expand the top one that says Standard, it'll allow you to drag those controls out of that toolbox and into your code. And you just fill in the values for the properties. Also, a great way to learn what controls are available to you and which ones you can use, because then you could simply Google ASP image map and learn everything about its implementation.
What do you do all day? You got all these tools, you drag stuff and drop it, don't you?
Yeah, half of my day is sleeping. The rest of it, Visual Studio takes care of. There's actually a key combination. It's Control A, and I can't remember the rest. I usually have to sleep when I do it.
So Sam's showing us the shortcuts in the toolbar. So when you want to add a button, you want to add a label, and you forget exactly what it's called, you don't want to automatically jump over to Google, you can find those under toolbar and standard. I'm going to give my label an ID. I'm simply going to call that label. Now what I'm going to do is I want to create an action, an on-click event for my ASP button. And an event is something that happens to an object. So a button, we could create a lot of different events. There's probably things such as mouse over and on-click and button up, which is when you unclick or when you click a button and then you let go of the mouse. A lot of different things, but you know the first one that we're going to learn on an ASP button is just the click event. Once you have an ASP button created with an ID, if we go to the back end code, up here at the top drop down where it says ASP, we can see all the objects that are on our front page that have an ID and that are run at server. So we're going to click on the submit object in the left-hand drop-down.
Just drag it and go try and dock.
How come it's not docking?
Yeah, right there. Drag it right there. Yeah.
Okay. And then on the second drop-down,
It changed yours.
oh, okay. So submit. And then it tells you all the different events that you can have with the submit button. And I'm going to click on the click event. And what this did for me is create a subroutine automatically. So this is a subroutine that is going to run on the back side when we click our submit button. Does anybody have that? Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to declare a variable, which in ASP.VB or VB.net, we're going to declare a variable with the dim statement, and we're going to say dim name as string. Name equals, and I need to refer back to my input, which is also called name.
I don't like how you input on this one.
Oh, actually, no, it would totally be value. Since it's an input, if you were using an ASP. Yeah, sorry, my bad.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to run into problems because I'm declaring a variable the same as I have an ID on my front page. So we start getting into naming conventions. You can't have multiple objects with the same name, or else, you know, Visual Studio's and the server is going to get confused. Are you talking about the input box called ID name, or are you talking about the string variable that you just decided to call the same thing, which is name? What I'm going to do is on my backside code, I'm going to put a little S, capital N, or an STR. When you name your variables, sometimes it's good practice to start your variable off with something that lets people know what it is. Like, for instance, a string could be str, an integer could be something like int, etc. So once I declare the string name as string, and I set the string name equals name.value, it no longer has a problem with what I'm doing.
What happens if you omit the run at server on the input box?
Good question. If I take the run at server away and save it, it does not know what name is. Name is undeclared. So my back-end code is going to ignore all of my HTML, all of my input boxes. It's going to ignore everything on the front side that is not run at server. Run at server actually tells my back-end code, hey, pay attention to this object. I may call on you to interact with it. Okay, I'm going to test my page now. I'm still not doing anything with my name. I'm just testing to make sure the page does not blow up. So the submit button, you know, I haven't broke anything, but I really don't know if anything's happening here. So what I want to do is I want to say, I want to put something in my label. My label currently is blank. You don't even really notice my label on the page. We're going to change that. I'm going to say label dot text equals string name. I'm going to refresh my page. And now my name showed up underneath my submit button. I'm going to add a little bit more to it. I'm going to put some text, and I'm going to concatenate it with my variable called string name. Really similar to some of the stuff we did in JavaScript. It's just learning another language. If I wanted to do this in JavaScript, I definitely could. In JavaScript, I wouldn't be sending this information back to the server. I wouldn't be able to save it to the server. I wouldn't be storing it in a database for later use, that sort of thing. I'm going to click on my About page, back to my ASP 101. I have my blank box. I'm going to type in my name, click Submit, and I get, hello there, Jason Warren. This is Sam's iPad. Sam's doodling.
This is I couldn't find the actual the image I was looking for, but so I just sort of scribbled out Java from a different one, because all these architectures use basically the same thing. It starts out like here is your user right here, and they make a request. It goes into the web server as represented by this green bit. Your application would be what's being represented as web components. This is any data you may be storing, which we'll learn how to do later. Then once ASP has done all of its work with what your user has given it, it sends it back out to the user and is displayed on, and in this process it's converted into HTML markup that the web browser the client is using can understand. So on in the case of JavaScript, that whole action takes place right here. There's no server side anything. And that's kind of the difference between the client side, which is JavaScript coding that we've been doing, and doing this server side representation. Without all the black splotches every time.
You need an ID on your list. And
this is your text box.
Hello there is text, so you need a quote in front of hello, and remove the equal in front of string names. Try that. Click off that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm going to change that back to name.
You got that working?
Now what had happened here is when you click back to your back-end code, actually look at your explosion here. This is a good thing. It's saying it can't find. Right. It thinks str name is the text box, so you're basically trying to set something it can't find to something that it can't be set. Is what you were telling it. But since you changed that back to str name, right there.
Now we'll recognize it now because it's identified.
Right.
So save that, so save all of them,
Mm-hmm.
and then do that order.
Yes.
Is your page one?
Yeah, I just changed the font. I couldn't read the font.
It looks like the text
Going back to the
Go
start.
back to change the font.
This is a really good mark.
Okay, so let's go to our front end and take a look. Our button does not have any text. So you just need to add an attribute called text.
That's after the ID, right?
It could be after or even before the ID. Attributes, it doesn't really care where the attributes are as long as they are there.
is there a routine normally that you follow for attributes? Or it's just whatever comes to mind as you're building it?
Yeah, I can't say that I've really come across a set way of what I'm going to put first, like the ID and the text and the run at. Things that all of them need, like the run at, I may put at the end, simply because I don't need to see that often. If I'm referring back to my page, I want the ID to pop out, so I'm probably trying to find the name of an object. So I'll put that like first and foremost, and then maybe the default value, the function, the on-click event. Like the styles, I may put those way towards the end. simply what I want to see when I first
Make it go underneath.
load the page or when I look at my code.
Yep. And if you want to kind of get a preview, just mouse over them and it puts a little blue box where it's going to appear. And if
Now, go ahead.
if you for as far as laying out your pages in Visual Studio, if you have Windows 7, you can actually pluck those right out and drag them to the edges and just look at those pages all by themselves. And your view and browser will still you got to pluck the tabs.
Oh, tab.
Yeah, and just drag it to the edge, and it'll take whatever sizing that you want there. So you don't even have to keep them within the IDE. If you're just working on a bit of code, you can just pluck them and move them around wherever. Second monitor, if you have a second monitor going, you can have pages on that one, all on the same project.
I'm going to need dual monitors for my work at home. I think I can get that written off.
Submit the request to Cindy.
Maybe you wrote it in a joke.
Okay. Jim, have you got that? Have you got that working?
Yeah.
Okay. So we all have hello there and our name. Let's click on the About page and then click back over to ASP 101.
The reason he's doing the clicking on About and then clicking back is to reset the ASP.NET session.
Yes, I'm resetting this page. I'm hitting it like a brand new visit. And as quickly as that page knew who I was, the page has forgotten who I am. The page only knew me for that one session that I was on that page. Now it is, fleeting moment, I was forgotten about. So what we want to do now is we want to store the user into a session. On my submit_click event on the back end, I'm going to type session, quote, name equals string name. And what this is doing is it's setting the session name to string name. I'm not doing anything with it yet, but I am setting it for later use. What I'm going to do next is at the top of my page, drop down the first drop down, click on Page Events. Click on Page Events. Over on the right hand side, these are events that happen to the whole page. And we're going to click Load. So now we have another subroutine called Page Load. And what I want to do on Page Load, I'm going to declare string name as string. And if session name is greater than blank, then I'm going to copy my label text. So when the page loads, I'm going to check to see if there's a session. And if there is, and I'm going to go back a second. I don't need the declaration, and I don't need, here I'm going to use the session name instead of string name. So on page load, I'm going to check for the session, and if I find one, I'm going to go ahead and fill in that label text. Let me test mine, make sure it works. Now, when I go away from the page and I come back to the page, I still have the hello there, Jason Warren.
Could you do something like that on your master page?
You could. You could put this page load on your master page if you wanted to put like the user's name up in your header. In fact, we're going to do that next once everybody has this working.
So, what did you took out the command statement?
I did. What I was going to do was declare a variable, set it to the session name, and then use the variable here. There's 100 ways you could program this. Declaring the variable like we did here, setting the variable equal to session name, then checking for the variable and using the variable here. But we can just use the session name in this instance.
Think of session as a magical filing cabinet that exists like in the server, and when the server sees this new user, which is your website's viewer, come, it creates a folder specifically for that user, and it recognizes that machine every single time it makes a request to the website. It pulls on that session. It says, hey, is there anything in here? Name. All right. If the page asks for that by using the syntax session parenthesis a string name close parenthesis, it returns that to the page that is requesting it.
And it's only going to remember that field that you said.
You have to tell it exactly what you want it to remember.
How long is the session good for?
On each machine, it could be different. There's ways to set it. On our server, we keep them for, I think, 20 minutes.
I think that's actually the default.
The default?
Yeah, that's any IIS right out of the box, which is the what's running your sites right now. IIS out of the box will keep sessions for 20 minutes and then get rid of them.
So if I stepped away for an hour, clicked on the About, clicked back to the ASP, it may not remember who I am. Just like your bank accounts, other websites that you log into. So now what I want to do is I'm going to take this page load event. But I'm not going to take the whole event. This handles the me.load.
I have a question.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Just on that first subroutine, you could theoretically, I guess, do away with the variable, couldn't you? And just have it where session name parentheses equals name.value?
Yes. Yes, we could.
Name.value. Okay.
That's right. We could get rid of these two lines of code and change out string name to name.value. We don't have to declare variables, each time. We could use the object with the property directly into any of our code that we wish. If we used it here, we would also have to use it here.
Okay. The other question I had was when you declare variables like that, is that variable going to be consistent throughout every subroutine? Do you have to make it global or something like that? Or
no, when you declare a variable inside a function, it is only in the scope of this function. This page would not necessarily have this this variable to it. There is ways to declare variables. Now, if I declared it here and I set it here, I would also be able to have it here.
But that would not make it accessible to the front end of his page. If he, instead of dim, uses something like protected or public, that will make it available to his front-end code.
Yeah. If I did for public, then I would also be able to use it here on my front side.
Using those little yellow tags we went over the week before last.
So in my page load, underneath my label text, let's go ahead and say SP name equals session name. And go ahead and declare up at the top public SP name as string. I'm going to give this a default value by doing a double quote. Now, I could do a double quote. I could also do what's called string.empty.
Either one will produce the same.
Either one of those will be the same. Now, since this is public, if I went to my front side, I could put this into my value.
I don't know if that will work in a run server tag. Might yell at you.
It might yell at me?
Yeah.
Well, we'll give it a shot. Oh. Did not like that because it's run at server. Okay. If I wanted to put it somewhere else, so this here is my public variable.
Now, what would happen if you set that public variable in the other function in your backend code?
What do you mean?
What if you set it up into the submit clip? Instead of setting it in page load, what would happen if you did that line of code in the submit clip?
The same thing.
I was trying to illustrate the effects. You know, they have to click for that one to fire. That one, the page load always fires.
You would need an equals.
I see your .SPF
In front of your SP names there for your public, down below your front side page. What's that, Jim?
Yeah. Can I see your front side page real quick?
Yes. Front side, you have to have an equals with your SP name.
No, I don't have the front side. Is it where did you what's that?
Front side, all I did was this line here. Public variable equals with a little bit of ASP tags, and then the public variable. Let me know if anybody has the front side, and I'll go back to the back side. Back side was a bit longer.
What? I'm in the wrong line.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep that in the line above it. weird funny manual things.
Jim, do you have that?
Yeah, the only thing is, for some reason, when I go to browser, and I view it in the browser, in the input field, I have less than, greater than, before I even type in my name.
Do you have anything in the value right here? Do you have something like that in the value?
Yeah, never mind.
Okay. You have one thing else? Yeah.
Alright, let's take a look at your form load.
Go to the About page and back to your ASP. Yep.
Alright, that's where you gotta set it. See this line right here? This is yours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, see the one page
So you basically created the container, you just need to put the water in. It's a little backwards. SP name equals session.
So session,
This is the one. So it'd be SP name, which is the variable, and then you're setting it, and then just session name.
I think you're missing your lesson tag right in front of you.
that came up with. Oh, there it is. That came
Right here?
Yeah.
For a minute there, it came up with the one I had in there last time.
Yes. Because when you actually submit that, it's actually this event always fires. The page load event will always fire every single time they reload that page, whether it's from a button click or something else. Now,
So it actually put that in there because it was already in the session.
right, so it used that session, that was the old value, and then it fired the button click, which reset
Right,
the
that's
session.
The first stuff.
That's why you see the old value. It's kind of it's something to remember when you're actually
I
coding.
was changing the name every time before I clicked submit, and so it came up with the previous name when the page reloaded.
Yes.
And then when I put in a new name and clicked submit, it came up with the newest
The
name.
new one. Yeah, so if you leave that blank and you click again, you're going to erase your name because you're setting the session to the new value every time you click submit. It is. It's definitely break time.
No, we should show them the if not is supposed to. Oh, yeah. We'll just show them the if not is supposed to.
window and the numbers on it.
Yeah. But, yeah, that first day I'm like, oh god, if everybody stays here, it's going to be a little bit nuts. If you know, anybody question.
I wish it did.
It was very nice.
Good weather?
Very nice. We had wonderful weather when we were actually in Bermuda, which is what's important, I guess. We came back, we arrived on like at 7 o'clock in the morning. We had actually 2 days cruise out, but we didn't leave till like 5 o'clock the first day. And we cruised overnight and all the next day and got there 7 o'clock the third morning. And then we were there until 2 o'clock the following day. And we just had there were 6 of us, and we just got off.
Oh, yeah,
found
that's
a
amazing.
taxi driver, and hashed the deal for him to give us a tour of the island. It was beautiful. It's really, really pretty. All the houses are painted these very nice pastel colors, and everything's concrete block or stone, but it's all plastered over and painted. And the roofs are all white because they collect the rainwater. Is their main primary source of drinking water. And they just coat the roofs with a non-toxic paint, and they have troughs on them that channel it all into cisterns, and that's what they use for drinking. And but the day we left, that night, about midnight, we started hitting a low pressure system, and we had some rocky walking around the next day. Now, Joanne and I didn't get seasick, but I think a good many people did. And so it made it interesting trying to walk down the narrow hallways and, trying to stand in the showers, not much bigger than I am. So you're kind of rubbing up against it. I mean, it's literally a tube about that big. So that was kind of fun. But then we got into... the next day when we got into Chesapeake Bay, of course, it was much calmer. And got in, early the next morning. And so it was really very nice. I'm glad that I'd never been to Bermuda before, so I enjoyed it.
Seasickness is not something you get over if you get there.
No, I had it once. Not long after I finished college, I went to Virginia Beach, where one of my college buddies lived. And we got on a fishing boat at 5 o'clock in the morning and went straight out to the Gulf Stream, which is like 3 hours straight out, because it's a good bit from shore down there. And we were just beating the waves, and it was, oh man, I was so sick. And once we got out there, it was relatively calm, and we fished a while, and coming back, I didn't get sick.
That's right, like I'm a C6 scuba diver.
Oh.
When you come to the surface, once you get about 10 feet down, it's no problem.
Yeah.
When you get back up the surface, and you can start visually seeing,
Yeah.
besides feeling, then you're in trouble. Then.
Well, on the TV in the morning, they were estimating 4 to 8 foot waves. But of course, on the cruise ship, all the lounges are just it's so much windows, and you could look out the window and see it was way more than a 4 foot or 8 foot wave. It's hard to judge them exactly, but I was guessing it was more like 15 feet. They closed off some of the decks because there's 40 knot winds. That could blow you right off the upper
Oh, yeah,
deck.
definitely.
But it was nice.
So you didn't stay in Baltimore any?
We stayed one night in Baltimore.
I didn't know if you stayed like afterwards or went over early.
No, we really didn't have a lot of time to do that. We left Friday morning and shopped a little bit on the way over. There's an outlets in Hagerstown where Joanne wants to shop. And I have 2 good friends that are school counselors, one in Jefferson High and one in Middletown, Maryland. And we met them for dinner. And we thought we were really going to be smart. We go into Baltimore on Friday night, get up early Saturday morning, but we're going to be 15 minutes from the dock. When we woke up, we were right smack in the middle of the Baltimore Marathon. And it literally completely surrounded us. We were inside the marathon circle and couldn't get out. So we left the motel at 10:15 and didn't really know it until we tried to get out. And everywhere we went, there were runners.
Yeah.
And so it ended up taking us 2 hours to go 15 minutes to the dock. But even so, we were still early enough to beat most of the crowd. And that's one of the secrets. You just get on the ship early and go eat lunch and sit there and watch all the other people stand in the
They're
line.
sitting on the boat and standing in line.
That's exactly right. Sitting around on the boat. You don't have your luggage because you've already checked it. You can usually can't go to your cabin until about 1 o'clock or 1:30, and sometimes your luggage doesn't get there until after dinner. But you're still better off. We love cruising. This was our 13th cruise.
I lived in Vegas now for a little while.
What's that?
I lived in Vegas now for a little while.
Really?
2 years. I actually worked in Frederick, but I lived in Hagerstown. But it was pretty nice. I mean, I lived in there and made it out.
Until they developed over
Yeah.
in that area.
And they were trying to renovate all the downtown areas and everything. They were like this park that's like just 2 blocks long, 2 city blocks, you know. And so sometimes on my lunch hour, I just went for a walk.
My son's in Martin.
Oh,
In fact, he's looking at a job out there.
Well, our friends over there took us to a restaurant a previous time called Dutch's Daughter, which is in Frederick. And they just had absolutely wonderful crab cakes and steaks and things like that. I didn't know. I would never be able to find it, I don't imagine, unless it was in the GPS system. So, your son's over there. Does he work in the school system?
No, he's a physical therapist. He works at a clinic. He does it as health service.
I think David Abrick is over there too, somewhere.
They're in the Hedgesville area. But Martin's there, we're going to trace it.
So when you go shopping for rain gear on Cabela's website, and you close it down, and then you go back and you open up Internet Explorer the next day, and the little ad that pops up on your MySN page is Cabela's rain gear. Is that some kind of
They're reading the Cabela's
cookie or something that they're doing?
Google actually started that off. They're reading. They can read any cookie that's in your internet. So if they see one for Cabela's.com, then they'll read what's in it and they'll pull up ads that are relevant to you.
That's exactly what it is.
Another thing I've
Internet
noticed-
Explorer doing it.
It's a lot more common lately.
If you search for a product and you hesitate on buying that product and you continue to search over and over again, eventually that price will drop on the listings that you're seeing.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. They even have those. There's some, like a lot of the travel sites that do that. If you go away, go to another site, and then go back, they'll drop the price a little bit. You know, because there's actually huge databases. They're actually storing this information and mining it for patterns. So, like if they see someone goes to Cabela's.com, selects a few items, then goes and looks around and ultimately chooses something else, and they have collusion with Amazon.com and collusion with Cabela's.com, and they're trying to figure out what you're going to do. They're using like learning algorithms to actually do that, and so this is what produces those ads. There's a robot sitting off in the world of servers somewhere in the cloud, trying to figure out what you're going to buy next, so that they can give you a link to it.
Verizon Wireless said that to me the other night. I was looking for antennas and stuff like that, and I kept going to Amazon. I go back to Verizon, and I Google a little bit, and then I eventually went back to Verizon, and it dropped like 40 cents or something like that, just in like a couple of hours.
But it's not much different when you think of like Walmart and those stores. A lot of people come and look at security footage and try to figure out where they say it belongs to.
Yeah.
So especially a lot of the site-to-store stuff, Walmart actually uses that data to figure out what their inventory is. So if they have a lot of people ordering stuff site-to-store, like, well, maybe we should carry this. That way, there's no chance of buyer remorse. You know, that second thought, maybe I don't need it. Things like that. Big money a
Well,
lot of
and
people.
they're forcing, I mean, Walmart, because it's such a big retailer, is forcing other people to start using our RFID and stuff like that. You know, because, I mean, they won't accept it from a vendor unless they've got it.
Right.
You know, because they want to have it in their system to use. So.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of, just people trying to take advantage of the fact that, that people are predictable. People spend years studying, this piles and piles of information to try and figure out, to give retailers the magical key to deciding, hey, if you put this here and, do this here, people will buy stuff more often. An example, iTunes. If you buy something on iTunes, you're not actually charged for it right away. That way you don't get that oh, I just had to pay for something. Oh, I get to use it. And then 3 days later, when it doesn't hurt as bad, it gets secretly taken out in a big batch from your, well, not secretly, of course, but, taken out of your bank account or whatever credit card you put into iTunes. And the same thing with Amazon and their $25 limit. People are more likely to push for that $25 limit just so they can get the free shipping. Let's say $6. So they end up spending $10 more when they were only going in to buy a widget. It's like, oh, they got me, but oh, I got stuff. So it's a win-win.
Google results personalized too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the Google Shopping. Their robots are actually doing the same thing they do to websites, but on retailer sites. Finding you the best deal and calculating shipping information. That way you click through Google, which gets them money for sending you business. Or sending the retailer business, rather. I'm sorry.
Okay, what I want to do next is I want to go to the Site Master. Jeremy, you with us?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. I'm going to go to the Site Master, and I'm going to put the person's name up here in the title. So, mysp.net application. There's a couple different ways I can do this. What I'm going to do, I'm going to say ASP label ID equals, this time I'm going to call it username, because remember the Site Master is used on every single page, and if I call it name, it may get confused when I get over to my ASP page because I have multiple objects with the same name. So I'm going to call it username, and I need quotes. And I'm going to set the default text to nothing and run at equals server.
You could have also dragged that out of your toolbox if you guys didn't want to type that.
And I'm going to open up the Site Master backend. On the back end, left-hand side drop-down, I'm going to click Page Events. And on the right-hand side, I'm going to click Load. This gives me a page load event on my master page, which is going to run on every single page that my master page is used. I'm going to go back to my ASP backend and copy the same if session out of that page load. But I'm going to do away with the SP name, and I'm going to change label to username. And I'm going to change hello there to comma welcomes. Let me see if this works. I'm going to click over to the About page. Now I don't see anything yet, but that could mean that I lost session during the break. Yep, I go back to my ASP 101. It did not remember who I am, so I need to retype my name in. Click Submit.
Where'd you paste that if session?
In the page load of the master page, the site.master. I selected page events from the left-hand drop-down and the load event from the right-hand drop-down. I could have also copied the complete subroutine from my ASP backend code.
Everybody good? ASP guys, so that ASP name. That's not fair.
Yeah, you can take off.
Yeah, I had it in when I copied and pasted it too.
Site name is not there, so go over to the front side of your master page. The label ID is username. Okay, let's go back to the back end. Username. Go ahead and save it. No, it would VB isn't cap sensitive, which is nice. Go ahead and save it and try. Sometimes when you edit your pages, if it shows that there's an error, sometimes it doesn't refresh and clear the error out. Okay. Now the first time it loads, go ahead and click on About. It's not putting anything up in the top.
What did you
Go
say?
back. Yeah, let's go back to ASP 101. On the website. The session's there. It's not showing in the header. Nope, there's something that we're probably missing. Let's go back to the master page first. Okay. So ASP label, run at server, ID equals username. It all looks good. Let's go back to the back end again. Username dot text.
Access will be question.
Yeah, it shouldn't be.
Go ahead on that second line right below there. Type in username again. Okay. Let's go to the front end master page. Yeah, go ahead. Go to the front end master page. Change username to something else. Change it to everything. And we'll save that page. And go to the back end. And then type in visible. And click off that.
Click on your site master front end and go to the top of the page. Click back on the back end.
Did you copy this whole subroutine from your ASP page? That's fine. That's fine. You put the end in yourself. Okay, let's go back.
Go back to the back end code and of the master code. And then in your top here, in your top drop down.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. And click page events.
What is it?
Change that to partial to the public. We had changed or for some reason the class was declared public and not partial, so it wasn't being inherited. Basically, it got disconnected from the back end.
Okay. That was a hard time. Your session's still there, so let's go ahead and hit one of your pages. Go ahead and refresh that page for me. Okay, so the code here. So doesn't like visitor.
It's like anything.
No, this is what the Firefox is displaying. Fine, it's just not getting where it needs to go.
Oh, protected sub page one?
No, that's fine. That makes it accessible. Go create a new line and type in response.
Capital R or
About right.
parentheses. And we'll double quote. Testing. Closure parentheses. And go ahead and save that and try it. Just the first one, it should be. How do I go for page? Just try and drag it on. It doesn't look like it's actually using that backing.
Where did it put the test at?
It would have put it at the top of the page. It would have been one of the first things that actually updated the page. Yeah, I don't think it's using your backing for whatever reason.
Just on the master page?
Yeah. Site.master. Code line. Site.master.
Oh, you know what? What's wrong with that? Why is that div underlined there with the top page on your phone?
I'm not so good at that.
You can? I wouldn't have it. I wouldn't know that.
I'm gonna try it. I tried it. Oh, that's why it's background's light. So go ahead and scroll down. Clear to the bottom. Go for it. Okay. Right before form. Looks like they did something.
You guys have yours working? How about you, Mike?
My page welcomes Michael Fincham.
Do me a favor and scroll back down below on the page here. Just put right after that one.
Could SP name be anything? Could it have been SR name?
Yes.
But normally if you choose SP name, then any other time you refer back to it, you have to say SP name.
SP name. I don't know why I used SP. I was trying to remember the prefix for a global variable. I think GV. I was searching my head for GV. It just didn't come to me quick enough.
Go ahead and type in your name. See what's happening.
It still doesn't recognize the visitor, right? On the front page.
Yeah. It's just not even.
Is the form run at server?
Yes, I see that.
Well, yeah, so that would work with it. Go ahead and click back over to About.
Oh, on the web page?
Yeah, the web page.
How about next break? We'll take a look at that, take it apart. That way we can.
Okay. So you can get it on your main page. You just can't get it on your master page. So that's the page that we'll concentrate for on yours. So I'm going to go back over to the website. My session is still sticking. I'm going to close down Firefox. And I'm going to reload or view in browser my ASP 101 page. The front. So when I closed down my browser and came back, it no longer recognized who I was. And I want to fix that by using a cookie.
Mine did because I just closed the tab.
If you just close the tab, yes. You have to close the whole browser in order to restart your session. And in fact, if you have other Firefox windows open, you're probably going to keep session regardless. It's only when you restart Firefox completely or you reboot your computer that you're bound and determined to lose your session. So, okay. On my back-end ASP 101 page, where I set my session on my button click, I'm also going to put in response.cookies. This time I'm going to call it username, string name.
And then you're gonna put string name inside the parentheses.
Username.value. Okay. So response.cookies, username.value. Now, cookies is a collection. Response.cookie is I'm pushing something into the collection. Username is just one property of the collection. So if cookies was your post office, then username would be a post office box. I could have lots of different cookies, such as I could say response.cookies last visit .value equals now. And actually, this would not be the last visit. This would be when I created the cookie. So I'm going to call that creation date. Username as the string name, creation date as the now built-in function. So there's a couple of ways on the, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the check for the cookie. I'm going to put that on the site master page. I'm going to put that on the page load. There's a couple of different ways I could do it. I could simply change session name to cookies and always run off of my cookies. Although the problem with that is because some people don't like the Google ads or other reasons, they shut down cookies. And if I always try to use the cookie property, I could very well not have it working at all for some of my visitors. So the visitors that are paranoid about cookies, I still want them to be able to experience their session even if they don't have cookies turned on. So above the session name then, I'm going to say if session name equals nothing, and also request.cookies username is greater than nothing, then I'm going to set my session to my cookie. And I am missing a dot value up here. So what this is saying is if my session is blank, but I find that the username in the cookie collection has a value, I'm going to set my session name to whatever my cookie name is.
Is that Michael Finch and click here, and then that kills that cookie. Is that what, like on most websites?
Yes. Yeah, so if you're visiting somebody's other computer, or somebody's using your computer, and you're logged into Facebook, and Facebook has a cookie, and I go to Facebook, I'm going to be logged in as you, but up at the top it says, if you're not Mike, then go ahead and click here, and then I'm allowed to log in as myself. And I'm also going to do a session created on equals request.cookies creation date. Your session collection does not have to match your cookie collection. So here I have a session property called created on, and then I have a cookie property called creation date. I'm trying to highlight those, but it makes it harder to read. Essentially, I have 6 new lines of code. In my backend of my ASP, on my onClick event, I'm setting the cookie properties username and creation date. And then on my page load of my master page, I'm checking for session, and if it's null, but I have a value in my cookies, then I'm going to set my session and my creation. Let me test that. I'm going to I'm going to recreate my session. Oh, okay. So, this is a favorite error that I hate. I don't know why Microsoft can't figure it out. If it doesn't exist, then to me, it just means blank. But for Microsoft, it means something different. If something doesn't exist, it doesn't mean just blank. It means, hey, I'm trying to find something and I can't find it. And it cries a lot. So, object reference not set to an instance of an object. Now, one of the things that I'm learning here is that the debug true is not set by default, and so we don't really get a lot of information. But what it's telling us we can do is go into our configuration file. I'm going to show you how to do that. Into your Solution Explorer, open up web.config. Do I have it? Oh, right here. Okay, so under System Web, compilation, debug equals false. I'm going to set debug equals true.
And that has to be lowercase.
So, looking for mom? Ah, okay. Okay, so I saved that. I'm going to go back to the web, and I'm going to refresh my page. So it's actually showing that line 6 is what's failing. Session name equals blank, and also request.cookie username equals value. What it doesn't say is it doesn't tell me which one is null. So I could set to handle both of them. Now, if I set to handle both of them in code, my code's going to grow fairly large. So I'm going to get creative here in my page load, and I'm going to say dim string name as string equals blank. Dim cookie name as string equals blank. If session name is not nothing, then string name equals session name. If cookie or if request dot cookie username is not nothing, then cookie name equals request dot cookies user name dot value.
Copy and paste that over for me.
So I hate that Microsoft makes us go through these hoops instead of just simply saying, hey, look, if something doesn't exist, treat it as if it's blank, instead of crying that it doesn't exist. But unfortunately, we do have to... What's that?
That's why.
That's why what?
See, it has to be a cookie name, and then the key, and then the value.
But if it doesn't exist, I'm still going to have a problem. It's still going to be an is null. Yeah. So I'm declaring two variables, string name, cookie name. And if the session name has a value, then I'm going to set string name to session name. If the request.cookies has a value, which all this is not nothing, is simply a fancy way of saying, hey, can it be found, without, blowing up. Then in my if statement, I'm going to change these for my string variables. Now I could have made this if statement very, very long. I could have, instead of string name, I could have said, there's a lot of ways I could do this. Now the problem with doing it that way is if I still have a problem, then I'm going to have a very long line of code, and it's going to tell me that there's a problem on that line, but it's going to be really hard for me to narrow down where the problem is. Where if I break out what I'm trying to do into steps, and it actually reminds me of, math in high school or college, where you must show your work. You must take this long algebra equation and do it step by step by step, so you can figure out what step physically went wrong, instead of trying to do it all in one straight line. I'm going to make sure it works before you spend more time typing something that doesn't. Okay. It did work, so...
You don't need end if on those statements?
Good question. If you're setting one line, if you're setting, let me tell you this. You do not need an end if if you can encapsulate your if statement and what happens all on a single line. So you could do an if session name is not nothing then string name equals session. I could also do this. But if you're doing something really small, it is okay practice to simply put it on one line without the end if statement.
The ones below it because you have two assignments in the same if statement. Right? You require them to get.
This one here, yes. Now I could, yeah, I could still put that all on one line, but it starts getting complex.
Oh, okay.
I think there's a way I have to concatenate these two together into a single statement behind the then. Well, if I used colons, then I still have to have the end if. I'm just putting it all in one line.
Well, that would be the only way you could put those two statements in.
I could probably do an evaluate. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't want to get in. Right. Since there is two, common practice is to go ahead and definitely do it in a if, then, end if style block. Does everybody have that working? Okay. Do we need to stay on the code?
You can tell us to type it.
Okay. You can go ahead and type it because my page works. So it works to a point. I think there's still room for improvement. I think the first page load, I'm setting my session.
What about your sessions? Your session got abandoned just to confirm. So I don't think you're setting all cookies correctly.
You don't think I'm setting cookies correctly?
That's what I was showing you. I think I could be wrong. But
Do I need to eliminate the...
it's not exploding, but it might not also be working. You know what I'm saying? We'll pull that back up in a second.
Yeah.
Just confirming something.
So Jason, that still says Jason Warren. Now it says Jason. Oh, let me go ahead and kill that. You were right. I do have a problem with cookie.
I think it's where you're setting it. Small change to your code, guys.
Back on the back end of the ASP code. You want to do a cookie my site. Is a cookie my site then the username?
Yeah. Basically, when you're doing a cookie, you got these two parameters. This is the name of your site, and this is the actual name of the cookie you're creating. So you would, for username, you would just add this my site bit to it.
And then we don't need the dot value.
I don't believe you need the value stuff. Just like Jason has up there.
Okay. So on the back end of your ASP site, we're going to change these two lines of code.
And I think that change also needs to be done on the request side, the response.
Right. Yeah.
Cookies are definitely tricky.
So you're just inserting my site into those
Yes.
two statements.
Yes. Because cookies is sort of like a multi-dimensional many-sided collection. Because session just has the one list. Cookies, I could put Google here and I could read the Google cookies. But my site is basically telling it create a set of cookies just for my site and add username to them.
That's telling me value is not
Yeah, you have to remove the dot value as well.
Get rid of the dot value.
You just do it on the back end there.
Yeah.
On the back end of the ASP page.
The ASP one.
I'm gonna check this again.
So he took out one of those dim statements?
No, we didn't take out any of the stations. That's all we changed was these two. I think on the master page where you're using it.
Needs to also change. Yeah.
So you change on the ASP 101?
These two lines right there.
What about on the front end?
On the front end, you don't have to make any changes on the front end.
Still that bond. This thing had to take out too much ones.
Now, anywhere you use the cookies on the master page, you need to take off the dot value and put in the my site.
Supposed to allow you to close Firefox on page over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the site, when you actually check for the existence, you only check for the existence of the my site. You do not check for the existence of my site with the username.
What's that on?
On the master page, if request.cookies my site is not nothing. You're only checking for the parent name, you're not checking for the property name. So Sam, when we're looking at the response in the request.cookie where we have the my site and the username, is the my site considered like the name of the cookie and then the username is the property?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have it set up.
After closing the browser.
That's possibly. Here, go to. I'll show you a trick. Look here, and cross over your ASP on one page right after that quote inside of the ASP. refresh that page. That's it. So I'll give you a forward date. Alright. So this will allow us to look at all those collections. So just go down to see, there's your cookie collection. So go up and set your value and we'll see if it actually gets set.
Where's your history on this?
You got to view file. Right click up here. Or I'm sorry, in that little space between menu bar. And then history.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
There it is. Yep, it's in the response cookies. Well, if it doesn't wipe out your cookies.
Right.
Yeah, my cookies aren't persisting from one to the other.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? You might have to set expires.
So there used to be a default expires, but now I'm thinking you have to set it.
Yeah, I think expires. It's set to expire. I think expires defaults.
Well, it shows again here. You just have to select the line and it tells you where you have it
Just do date.now.add days one. Actually, I think it's a default functionality. It's if you look at the line of code Jason's doing up there right now. I think I took some out. Well, let's see. Let's get it working, and then we'll leave you guys. It's been a while since either of us have looked at cookies, so bear with us.
Yeah.
It is so annoying. I'm going to fix that tonight for you. Good.
Well, let me see if my cookie's even being saved. Where's my temporary internet?
Well, I just pull trace.
Trace.
Yeah, go back to your page in the front end of ASP 101, and up there type in trace equals true. You're going to see all of it.
Where am I supposed to see this at?
Did you? There it
Oh,
is.
there it is.
Let's go down till you hit the cookie information.
Cookie collection. There's my cookie. Cookie collection. There's no name. Okay, let's go ahead and see.
I'm thinking I put this code in the wrong place. You guys have it. I have it here. You guys have it here.
Oh, yeah, that needs to be on the site.
All of this, right?
Not all of it, just, oh yeah, actually all of it, you're right. Except for the SP. You need to copy that page load. I'm sure they have a page load beside this.
Overwrite this. So I need to get rid of it off of this one.
Well, no, it doesn't matter. Even if you site master that thing and get rid of that one.
Bear with me when I throw this. I'm still trying to get the cookies to persist.
Could try doing it the other way.
I don't think I saved my expires the first time.
No, it could also be.
My cookies are saving, but it's not loading on the first load. Okay, now it is. Yeah,
Okay. So it was the expires?
it was the expires.
All right. We has a solution.
So, on the click event inside the back end of the ASP, we have the label text hello there, the session name equals, and then we have 3 lines for the cookies. My site username, my site creation date, and my site expires. If you do not set the expires, it will expire automatically as soon as you close down the browser. Just like a session.
So my site not expires.
Do you got yours working, Chuck? What's that?
Yeah, I think so.
Table at the top works.
What's that, Jim?
I think I've got it. I'm just reviewing what you have there on the site.
Okay.
I think
What
it
have
deleted
I got wrong?
he deleted your stuff. So just put in here and type. What do I remember?
So that's right here. So is it this part here?
I need the my site.
Yeah, I even checked it.
The site my site is here. You got this there as well.
Okay, this is right here, this,
Yeah, that's
not nothing,
yeah, that's
Yeah.
also right there and right there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm running the camera with you. But the cookies are enabled wrong.
That should have you right with Jason.
Is that dot add days 10?
It is. It's date dot now dot add days 10.
So let's say different one.
Okay.
Okay, change that. Request that cookies, my site username, date, and like you said, change that just to change that part, the first part of that to cookies.
So you have a session. Let's check the cookies. And we're going to start
at this point.
Okay. Using writer creation dates. Okay.
Start at this point. Highlight clean.
Yes. Go to about. Click on about. The about page.
Oh, right.
Try to set the about page as your home page.
Oh, you need to browse it.
For the browser.
Okay, so now you should be able to close your window and have your cookies come up.
Use code.
I think I'm missing something above labeled dot text. So I'm getting
You just right click on it.
Try it again. Get the cookie reset and then close down and reopen your browser.
I think it's because I just missed something up here.
Front end of ASP.
Highlight over or label that text.
No.
Still doesn't. Refresh this page. Show me the site master. Back. Page load. Stream in front of the username, you need, well, actually change the username to my site. Yeah, my site. Okay, because username did not exist. My site does exist. So of course I click to my site is something like that, then clicking it equals my site that username. Streaming, session,
So it has to use something in the back. That is the back end, isn't it? There's something in the front end that's not referred to it correctly?
No,
Yeah.
cookies are completely back end monsters.
No, you don't need that right now. My
Go
site
back to your
here.
ASP on there, Ken.
Deal with that text.
On the site?
Do me a favor, go to your front end of ASP.
That, you don't need that on the site master.
And, go
You
to
needed
the
that
page.
on the,
Up in that line,
back on the VB back.
add a new parameter,
All of it?
or a new attribute,
Because I had
trace
all of it on the back end, and
equals.
that's all you had. Second master up there that had all of it.
Alright,
So
now
stuff-
save that and refresh your page.
Well, this first one, Mike, this here is the ASP, and then this here is on the page load of the master.
I need to get all of that.
That didn't work.
You have your cookies plus. Is it up here?
Go back to the back end, and ASP.
Alright, so let's look at where we're saving.
I'm guessing it makes it zero.
Nice set of fires, feedback, days 10, first name now,
String name.
string name.
Equals name.
This just seemed to be easy.
No, that should,
Name that value as well?
yeah, that should be, correct.
Did you go through the whole motion again?
Position values?
Yeah.
See, maybe it's this.
Yeah, it's that. It could be question as well. Okay. So then close down. Josh, did you have to change something in your browser settings
Yeah.
that got rid of all your cookies every time?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I can't find that.
You go to menu and options, and then choose the privacy.
Never remember history. Okay, remember history. The website I do not want to be tracked. Okay, do you have to uncheck that tracking?
I'm not sure.
For cookies, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead and uncheck that. Okay.
Remember, I always said
Now go ahead and close down Firefox when we open it.
How did you do that, Jason?
It's menu. Josh had it. So,
Menu and options.
yeah, you go to menu. We have file, edit. Is it file option?
Yeah.
So the way he's got his menu would be tools.
Okay.
And then options.
Tools, options, privacy.
History?
When Firefox closes.
Uncheck that?
Go ahead and show cookies here.
You don't install Firefox.
No, you're keeping cookies for a long time.
Typing in your search, they're typing my site.
Local code.
He has a cookie,
Okay, it seems to be saving.
but it's not getting.
There's no username in it.
Right, it's blank. His username gets up to blank. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Okay, then let's look at your code then. Okay, so on the submit click.
Cookies are all wily, aren't they?
Yes, they are. Run session name equals.
Sugar, butter, 375.
Why is it
Site
using
Yeah,
for
figured.
the string name, email, expires, next expire. Okay, and the site master down below. If request dot my site is not nothing, go cookie string cookie special string. Did you start over now when you reloaded Firefox? You have to start from the beginning and type in your name again.
That's what he did, yeah.
Did you have a tracing?
Yeah, I gave him a trace on ASP. So he has this, that's how we knew he had the cookie. Scroll up into my load up.
You might need to switch from.
We don't even have this. So right now we don't have the session.
It might be settings. Customization.
Okay, so we have the session. Click to about. Okay. Okay, so we definitely have the session. Go back to ASP 101. Scroll down.
Okay,
Okay.
we have the name.
You have the user. Just go ahead and close Firefox.
And then go to your projects and see which one ASP 101, what we want to do.
Yep.
There you go. Yeah.
The cookie statement.
So because it's up here,
Yeah.
Your cookies stay up there. You haven't actually submitted the button again, so those variables right there aren't there. But if you just refresh that page without submitting.
No, I am blowing up cookies.
What did you do?
It set the session. What we run into is what fires first. Like that site master is setting the session, and that's where you're getting the name on your header. But the first time you go to your ASP 101, you don't see your sessions. Is because I think your the code that actually runs where it shows you, like right here, Mark Fawcett, that's your load event on your page is running before your load event on your template. So you're getting the name right away on your template on the very first page hit, but it takes a second page hit before the ASP 101 sees your session. You get working?
Yeah, I was just wondering, what would you do for this cause, would this be like a hiccup for the user? Or is there something
It might be.
There's a couple different ways we can do it. There's ways to do it on every page load into app code and not onto the template. So we haven't got into app code files yet, and that is a file that runs on every single page. It's almost like an include. So adding it to the master page does have, as we're finding out, a little bit of drawbacks. And there is ways to come across that. There's other ways to run code on every single page that is not tied to the master page. And we'll get into that on later times. Is yours staying when you close down?
you're still having trouble getting that to show up in the sidebar or string.
Because you're declaring it, you're not setting it. That's what
You still have a problem with your site.
Right, so that's
Master.
why I'm thinking it's not.
And this will actually run out of session. Because you copy code from your places.
Click on the page. Okay. You haven't set your debugging true yet, right?
Okay. This is your page on the site.
That was on the web page.
All this response that cookie stuff.
Debug false. Let's set that
Because that's when you're actually sending stuff. This is when you're displaying it, because it's the page. Overwrite these two lines and those three. Now, so you.
Let's go back to your website and see what error was given.
You actually. And you can get rid of that part of it.
So the request on cookie username, we need the my site in there. Let's get back in the site master. Can you scroll down, or can you close down the property box? Can you refresh that?
I broke something because I started
Missing-
stuff that I was supposed to
So this is a
put
bit of code in the site master. Have you typed this in a different site master on the page load? Type that in. Did we lose that?
Not equals empty set, but not equals. We'll never get into that.
Go to the ASP.101. Okay.
It's writing it here now. It's just not.
And then go check this out. So, page over there. This session name is
Go ahead and give us some more room.
this session name equals, so he's
Or you don't have to close all the way, so go ahead and put that little pin here. Okay. Some of this needs to go to the master page.
And
From the dim string name,
this is
so
just basically the session name. Check on that. Okay, so cookie name equals request on and above this is your different.
everything down to this line. Cut that.
If
Okay. Get rid of that and F.
Interesting.
And let's go to the master page.
Section name.
Back there. Highlight everything in the page load. Or just highlight that response dot rect test.
Your session will get set if your cookie is there now. Label your username label, and you actually set it aside the username.
Okay. And then do an end F right there. You still have a problem with your visitor text. Can I play around on the machine a little bit? I want to try to get that master page working. I don't know.
Since you're checking the session name, you have space.
It doesn't matter. It automatically puts one in.
Oh, okay.
But it doesn't matter.
I was thinking maybe that was what they were thinking. The problem was.
I was all confused. I was putting code on the wrong page.
Well, that's what I did. I looked up, saw what type, and when I looked back up, he was on a different page. And I didn't know it. And
I put everything in the site master and not the ASP 101.
Well, it's got like 8 pages open there. It's pretty easy
Yeah.
to put it on the wrong one.
Four monitors up
Somebody
there.
flips around a little bit too, before we catch up.
Look at that, me. I don't know what you're talking about. You tell me I set the phone in water?
So is that a 4S or?
No, it's just the regular 4. I wish my phone had actually gotten stolen a few months later, because then I could have got it for it.
I've got a 3GS. I'm going to get a 4S. I think you're
That
eligible to
series,
re-up.
that series is really nice. Artificial intelligence they put on.
You need to throw that thing in the river and get you an Android is what you need to do.
I want a paperweight. Go buy a rock.
But my battery does seem not to last as long as theirs.
Flash.
I wish they'd figure out something with Flash. It makes me so mad that I can't watch any Flash on my iPad.
Well, the thing is, with Flash, it's not that they can't figure it out. They just
I mean, I know they won't. Yeah.
The reason, and actually Steve Jobs wrote a
Well, that's
letter.
what I went ahead and just
They
recreated
wrote a letter
the label.
to the supervisors. This is why we're not using Flash, is because Flash actually uses software render to render video, which is very, very expensive as far as energy. It takes a lot more to let code render a video than it does for hardware that knows how to render video to render. It's just the power requirements. So Apple went the way of making sure that the user always has a great user experience at the cost of not supporting a technology. So they made sure that you would always get that 10-hour battery on your iPad.
It is, an awful lot of websites that sense that it's an iPad and bring up a QuickTime viewer or something, yeah, and so I guess they must already have those.
It's not hard to actually encode even your Flash videos
Video.
into QuickTime. You can do it on the server with simple libraries that you can just import, just like importing JavaScript, but in this kind of back-end code environment. YouTube had it up and running, pretty much from the gate. They were putting up QuickTime instead of.
HTML5 code file on YouTube now.
They might use the new player tag. That might be what they're using, and that would automatically encode as well. That would let the device use its hardware to encode.
yeah. I had to reinstall it on my computer, and when I installed iTunes, that's probably the time to use it.
Yeah, a lot of time the QuickTime just gets installed as a plugin anymore. No one really installs a full-blown application unless you're doing video editing.
Found one workaround on this blog. They showed you how to do this bookmark, and then you can play your Flash.
Oh, cool. So it converts?
Yeah.
Very nice. That's cool. Is it just iOS Flash again?
Let's see here.
I should show you pull that.
Oh, I did it.
Alright.
No, I used to have one.
Okay.
I had to do this stuff on YouTube.
You can download Skyfire browser, and that's built in for Flash also.
I won't waste my battery life.
I keep telling you.
I don't need to watch porn on my phone.
That's the reason you want
Yeah, I can't. I had to just find a site and then just find it actually. It's quite specific thing. But this is actually a handy ground. Their iPhones are equipped with a handy ground.
Well, and I was going to hand down my 3GS to my wife, but why? She can re-up and get one for a brand new one free.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
2 years ago I paid $200 for it, now it's free.
Right.
Oh, that's the worst part about it.
Yeah.
Apple electronics. Yeah.
Can you go to the
That's
top
the one having the
of
newest
the
now.
Site master? The front side, you go to the top of the declaration. See, that inherits site. This says inherits web application 2.site.
That might even be the problem.
Inherits site.
Next week, you're going to teach us all how to make shopping carts and make billions of dollars, right?
Actually, once we get through with some of the, get to a point where we feel like we've showed you the technology, we're going to give you guys kind of like a project to do, because we want to make sure that everyone picked up on everything. So be one class devoted to doing that project.
I want the database.
That's what we got to do, the database first, and then we'll be able to come up with some requirements, and then we'll
How do we use access data?
throw you guys in the water and let you swim.
Use access.
Yeah.
Use access before. It's not pleasant.
It isn't. It's no fun whatsoever. Not anymore.
Access.
You seen the new Access? It's awful.
I haven't touched it for probably like a 90s version.
Well, yeah. I like that version. That was the version we learned in school. And now it's so easy to use that I can't use it anymore. I don't know where anything is. I'm like, go to SQL View. There's no SQL View.
I try to use Excel now, and it's so much different. It used to be like Microsoft Office certified in Excel, so it's so different now.
Email him site and the front and the back end. I'm going to drop these the site page altogether and reload it.
Okay. Let me a second.
I remember that. Great
Where did it store that? Give me a second. I gotta. Oh, it's in C drive. Site master. Press. Zip. Zip. All right. Who am I emailing this to?
Yeah, my email. DOB.
Actually, let me get to a point where I can actually email you before I don't have it handy. That's the problem.
Where's your email from?
This is my list.
Okay, so you go to browser.
All right. I just need your email address.
DOB.
Okay.
CATREL at Yahoo.
On its way, sir.
Hey, Mike, I can't connect to the workbench over here.
You need to unplug it.
No, other people are connected to the internet, right? Yeah. Maybe it's just me typing in the security key out.
How you doing, Jim?
Okay.
Okay.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
The session parentheses name.
Yes.
Can you assign any value, or I mean, can you assign any attributes? I guess there instead of name, can you put anything else in there and create like tags or whatever you want in the session? Same way you can.
Yes. Yeah, you can. I don't think that it can contain, like the tag values and things like that. But I think letters, numbers, and I believe underscores are all right.
Okay, but any names you want to create.
Oh yeah, it's all up to you.
And really, the only difference between the session and the cookie is the cookie is saved as a file.
Correct. Correct. And the session is stored in the memory of the server.
Internally.
Right.
Okay.
So if I go to my computer and look at cookies,
You will be able to see your cookie that you made. Remember, Firefox stores cookies differently than IE. So temporary internet files is not where you need to go. I don't know. Just go to Firefox options and click Show Cookies. In the Privacy tab of the options. And then in the search, just type in My Site.
Not just for trading.
I don't know if it was correct or if it was just something we were missing.
And Jim, the same rule applies for cookies as well.
Whatever type of information you want.
Yeah, whatever you want. This could be, and this one could be bar. As long as that's the same information that you use to reference them when you go to read them.
Okay.
Well, write them. This was reading them, actually.
Oh, okay. Request read from the.
Right. We're taking request.cookies and we're putting it into session name in this on this line of code here.
Can't really say what happened to that site page. Don't know. Couldn't figure it out. We were missing something there that couldn't figure out.
So did you use the
That worked.
adage?
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, delete it.
Delete it and start over. Yeah.
Had to do that before. No. Does anyone have any questions since we're kind of getting to the edge of time here?
Well, it's saving all these different pages in the Studio into your documents. But you don't see, I guess that they're all embedded within this solutions
No.
file. I don't
If you go up into this folder,
there's one called Websites, and then you click on that. That's where it actually stores the guts. There's a projects folder for the file that references your project, which is the Visual Studio solution file, and then there is a folder in there for the structure of it and all of the guts on your website.
So if I just wanted to open one of the pages here, then I would go into the website's one folder.
Individually, but I wouldn't recommend opening them individually. I would say pull up the whole thing. That way you have the power of IntelliSense helping you code things if you need to make a change.
And if you want to, like, let's say you got a host with ASP and you want to upload to the FTP, you just export as one package.
Another question for you, Jim.
Actually, you can export it as one package. Also, Visual Studio allows you to connect to FTP and actually roll files. What was that question, Jim? Let's see if I can find that for you.
On the web developer toolbar in Firefox, if I can click on cookies and view cookie information, it shows me that there's 2 cookies.
Yes.
The first one is ASP.NET session ID. Is that assigned automatically?
Yes, that is created by .NET, and this is actually how the server knows to pull up your session. And so you see it expires at end of session, so that means the cookie gets deleted by your system when you close the browser down.
Okay. Now, is that the same thing as what we were referencing?
That is exactly the same thing. It's just being used in the background of .NET.
Okay.
And let me see if I can remember how to roll files here. Jason, do you remember how I did that?
What's that?
Copy website, that's it. If you right-click on the top of your solution, someone asked me about rolling files to like FTP. And I was trying to remember how we had done it before. But if you right-click on the top of your Solution Explorer, I'll pull it up again, that way you guys get a chance to see that again. So your Solution Explorer, right-click on the topmost, and you see there's an option, Copy Website.
Okay.
So that brings up this little window. I'm going to maximize it for you, showing your source on this side and the remote. Now, in order to get to the remote site, you have to tell it to connect to something. So if you click the connect button, it gives this little dialog. Your host, if they have the ability to allow you to FTP, they would give you the server name, ports, and directories, along with any login information that's necessary. I'm going to go ahead and use I'm going to just pick a random thing here, and just so I can show you. And that'll allow you to connect in sort of this way. And it's going to check the files to see, the last date modified versus what's on the server, as well as file existence. So, and give you little symbols based on that. So if you just want to move one file, you'd click this, and it would take care of moving that file. And it would also mark it as unchanged to show that you've synchronized these. If you wanted to move everything, based on what these symbols say. So say it can't find these on my local site, so it's going to move these over, and it's going to move these over. If I click this, which I'm not going to because it's actually going to get our file system all bunked up, it would move all of these images over to here and all of these pages over to here and give you an exact list on both sides. So that's their copy website feature. So if you actually do have a host with FTP capabilities, you certainly, with that tool, have the ability to send your sites to the user. We actually used to use that to roll our files, but it sets file dates the same in both places, and we actually use that for version tracking, so it kind of screwed us up, so we couldn't use it. Any other questions?
Being that we have 2 weeks before the next class, if you all want something to work on, create yourself a calendar page and work on a calendar using kind of like what we did in JavaScript. But try to do it with functions on the server side, on the back end of your code. So on the front end of your code, you have ASP labels, and you have input boxes, and they all have IDs. And then on the back side, or then you have a button for like your add and your subtract and your calculations. And then you can create little functions on the back end that actually does all your mathematical calculations and can write it back out to that label.
You mean a calculator on a calendar?
Is that what I said?
Yeah.
It's a calendar.
Okay. Calendar. Yes. That's not. Yes. Okay. Calculator. Absolutely.
I started laughing because we actually had a joke a little while back. Oh yeah, just you guys make a calendar. We happen to have this scheduling software. You guys are
We talk about
coding house for free.
calendars. Talk about calendars all day. So bear with me. Yeah, but I mean calculator. That's something to a challenge since we have 2 weeks, and it gets you. It gives you a reason to get in and play around with the code a little bit more.
Yeah. Extra points if you use styles to shape it like a calendar.
Calendar?
God, now you got me doing this. Because I was walking beside him, telling that.
Did you see the one I did in JavaScript? The calculator in JavaScript?
I think I did. Show it to me again. I drank since then, so. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. Not perfect.
Well, you get to do a calendar.
So you got a JavaScript calculator, and so you got JavaScript calculator, but now you can do this JavaScript calculator is really good.
Just now the next challenge would be to use it, do another one, but with back-end code.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, do a complete separate one, but definitely keep this one.
Just build a time machine over the next 2 weeks.
Yes, sir. Another good challenge would be to look up how to capture key events in JavaScript and allow someone to actually type and enter addition, subtraction, all that stuff.
I don't know how to capture this way it's set up now. You can type numbers, but you can't press the subtraction addition button.
Well, Google knows how.
Google knows how. Of course, Google does. Google knows everything.
Google the grand and mighty. He will lead you in the wrong direction.